Today, I wanted to lead on this deck that I've had for a little bit. Pretty exciting new tech for Vivi Cauldron. So we've done a lot of Gran-Gran lessons and a couple other shells. We had better results with the Jeskai Ascendancy build than we had the Taking Turns build. Nothing too crazy either way. But Gran-Gran is honestly just a very powerful one mana creature, and I just kind of I think I really overlooked how good a 1/2 creature that loots every turn can be. And this deck, you can actually infinite combo with Gran-Gran. Um, so the idea is that Gran-Gran, just on its face value, is pretty good in VV Cauldron. If you've missed it, this is a deck that we actually think is pretty good in Modern. One I think is kind of underrated. One of our better brews from I think 2 seasons ago at this point. But when this one that in the past was playing, I guess this version is really Fatestitcher Gran-Gran over DRC Bobble. What's kind of funny is it wasn't directly a 1-to-1 for that. I had like Springleaf Drums, and I was playing a version with Psychic Frog, and I kind of like looped back around to it being that. Now that I'm looking at it again. Um, but I guess one thing on Psychic Frog versus Fear of Missing Out. I have liked Fear of Missing Out more in this version. I found that without DRC Bobble, I was like I wanted a little bit more of cards to kind of churn through my deck when you're comboing off, and Psychic Frog is not one of those. Fear of Missing Out is one of these cards you draw into and just kind of cycle. And then Fear of Missing Out and Missing Out untapping Gran-Gran has been like, or Fatestitcher has been like weirdly really nice sometimes. So and also, of course, your mana is a lot better, so I've been liking FOMO more. But let's talk about Fatestitcher Gran-Gran. So a Gran-Gran is just good as a one-mana looter. This card has a lot of cards that you like to discard for value. Fatestitcher, Winternight Stories, Griselbrand, Borborygmos, and Vivi. All of these cards really like to be discarded for value. Additionally, just looting is good in a deck that has some Delirium stuff with Fear of Missing Out, and wants to be growing or Marauding Makos. In this deck, I think Gran-Gran is basically always the best turn 1 play. And so beyond that, what you're trying to do with Gran-Gran is you're trying to Cauldron Fatestitcher onto Gran-Gran to give it the ability to tap to untap a permanent. This is already just kind of pretty strong by itself. It's kind of turns Gran-Gran into, a Moxen that can also give creatures vigilance, can also untap your Cauldron. Untapping your Cauldron is kind of like the big one of the big things, I guess. But then you can go infinite if either you have a second creature like a Marauding Mako or a Fear of Missing Out that don't have Summoning Sickness either from Arena of Glory or you just had already cast them. So if you have that, you can, or just another Fatestitcher, and you have a lot of churn for the second Fatestitcher. You can just go tap Gran-Gran, untap the other Fatestitcher or Cauldron creature, and then untap the Gran-Gran, and you do this infinite times. This lets you draw and discard cards until you go through your entire deck. Now, you don't even need to have any cards in your hand when you're doing this, because what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to eventually draw Vivi, put Vivi in the graveyard. Draw Griselbrand and Borborygmos, put those in the graveyard. Draw Winternight Stories, put those in the graveyard. And then once you have these pieces in the yard, you can untap your Agatha Soul Cauldron last, Cauldron the Vivi, make some mana. Use that mana to start flashing back Winternight Stories, looting, maybe put creatures into play, make more mana, this normal VV Cauldron stuff. And then eventually untap the Cauldron. Maybe you Cauldron Griselbrand for more cards, maybe you don't. But you're going to end up untapping the Cauldron and then Cauldron Borborygmos to use all these cards you've drawn to kill your opponent. Now, it isn't the cleanest combo ever, too, because if you're going to go Cauldron Borborygmos, then you do have to still have enough lands left in your deck to kill your opponent. Although it's not usually that difficult to do that. So that's the tech here. It's possible that there's some room for improvements on the strategy. I know yesterday when I showed the list, I didn't have 4 Fatestitchers. At the moment, I think 4 Fatestitchers is really correct. So let's go. Where is Manabo? You must play 4 Fatestitchers. I think you probably don't know what the loop is with Gran-Gran if you're suggesting cutting Fatestitcher, which is fair. It's a kind of a weird loop. Okay, let's keep this. Put back Islet, I guess. But you could play a second Ballista. It just like you really don't want to draw 2, and you'll never draw 2 if you only have 1. It's also kind of bad in every situation you don't have a resolved Cauldron. All right, we saved the Street Wraiths for Profs. If our opponent Lightning Bolts the Marauding Mako, I guess we'll cycle the Wraiths and see if we draw a third Wraith. Would love to see like a Lava Dart or a Lightning or a Unholy Heat, I guess. Interesting. Commercial District. Could be Phoenix Dredge. I don't know why that's the first deck that comes to my mind here. Not a lot of Commercial District decks, though. At least ones that people are playing at the moment. They keep a card on top. Ah, I mean, that was the obvious one, I guess. I don't know. For some reason, my brain just has a hard time seeing this as that. We're getting K commanded. They think about doing a main phase and realize there's not a lot of reason to do a main phase, I guess. Does it exactly feel like this is a bluff? Need to learn how to take micro naps while people resolve K command. It takes so long to resolve. They do go for a spawn. So let's play the Agatha Soul Cauldron, I suppose. It's a lot more mana efficient than playing Gran-Gran. It does mean we're probably not going to go off next turn, but it would be really awkward to play Gran-Gran with the hopes of playing Vivi and my opponent just casts like a Mako spawn this turn. Yeah, I think on Magic Online, if you Cauldron Shark, they all get cycling, but it's obvious, yeah, it doesn't actually do anything. Have I done any brewing with the 3 mana vampire from Lorwyn? Best seems like a brewer card. The new Lorwyn set, I mean, I don't start brewing with new cards this far out. You know, the normal stream just takes a lot of time to maintain, but I could be open to it. So my opponent is saying, I have another K command. They just obviously wouldn't be sacking the spawn the other way. I'm targeting. I guess I should have targeted Wooded Foothills with that knowledge because that's more relevant for Nantuko. I do think I'm going to cast Winternight Stories instead of casting Vivi. Maybe this is bad with them just being able to K command exile the Vivi, but yeah, maybe. Although we can just Cauldron the Vivi in response. Yeah, never mind. Although what does the new vampire do? I don't know that I've even seen it necessarily. So they don't cast the K command end of turn. I have yet to see the value of Gran-Gran in this deck since I tuned in. When did you tune in? Because we've infinite comboed with it like 3 times. It's also just like a good 1-drop to cast in this deck. Yeah, but she's a 0-mana looter with infinite combos with Fatestitcher. That's the idea. Should I put combo in the title instead of tech? Fatestitcher combo. Combo in the title. Alright, so make 5 mana. Is hasting the FOMO something that makes sense? It makes sense if I draw exactly Profs. Okay, so we can do the loop with Fatestitcher next turn. If we draw a discard effect or if we get to attack with the Gran-Gran, which is less likely for sure. They also have a K command in their hand. Okay, so the combo is if you Cauldron Fatestitcher onto Gran-Gran and you either have another untapped creature in play, unsummoning creature in play, or another Fatestitcher in the graveyard, you untap your Gran-Gran's infinite time. This lets you loot through your entire deck. And then you either untap the Cauldron, target Vivi, start making mana, do the normal Vivi Cauldron stuff, or you use Marauding Mako or Profs plus Cauldron Ballista to just win the game, and then eventually do Cauldron Ballista to win the game. All right, so the first land for turn is a Bajuka Bog. Graveyard wasn't really all that relevant, although we did kind of need to have they milled Windswept Heath and they found Windswept Heath. We did kind of want to have some creatures in the yard to target with the Cauldron, I guess. You should record yourself explaining the combo pre-stream and just hotkey it to play recording when people ask about it. Maybe. Kind of feels weird and standoffish to do that though. That explains the Mako. I mean, Mako also just is great with Vivi Called in general. You make a ton of mana with it. But it's also part of the combo loop. And it gives you an aggro plan. So they mill Rumble. They're doing some more thinking. I feel like all of our opponents have played so slow today, unfortunately. Remember you played Monument decks before? Have you thought about using the Artist Talent tech that Standard is doing with it? I thought a little bit about it. I'm not the most enthused. I do think it gets more exciting. I've seen some builds that are trying to like use Oval Chase Daredevil, like loops with Moxen. I mostly think that like the modern like they use Artist Talent in Standard because you don't have access to Underworld Cookbook and you don't have access to Faithless Looting. It's like your discard enablers are better than Artist Talent in Modern, even though you also have Artist Talent. Okay, let's start with a Surveil. That's an interesting card to see on top. I weirdly think it's right to just cast this Cauldron so I can draw an extra card with the Riddler. Like, cast Cauldron just to get it out of the hand. Let's probably float 2 red and do the rest blue. Now, my opponent is holding up K command, so we got to be mindful of that. Also, this is another artifact in the yard for Delirium for the FOMO. Did you ever test Flare, Duplication, and Burn? It's 12 damage by turn 2 with Goblin Guide, Flare, Boris Charm. I never have tested it, no. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of like a Fire Blast, I guess. So drawing a Scalding Tarn is awkward with the Riddler, because now I don't get an extra card off the Profs. Yeah, I've already played my Thundering Falls this turn. I have drawn... This will be my... I'll have 3 counters with the Profs here. I draw another Fatestitcher, so a bit awkward. We can go for the loop second main phase, though. So let's just go to combat. I'm going to go ahead and put counters on the Fear of Missing Out in an attempt to try to incentivize my opponent to not K-command the Gran-Gran. Have I tried to list with Vizier of Tumbling Sands? No, that's interesting. We have another... Is Vizier other permanent, or does it untap itself? Because we have another build that could go kind of crazy. Here's the K-command. It's kind of a weird time to cast it. Yeah, so targeting... there's a couple that let you target itself or with Cauldron. And so you can go Gran-Gran Cauldron those, loop your entire deck, and just draw into Thassa's Oracle, double Amber, and win the game. So that's also something I want to try. I brewed Locket of yesterday's Mirror Retriever Grinding Station. It seems very promising. Well, we have Mirror Retriever Grinding Station combo decks you can look at. I'll take a look at your Locket of yesterday's deck. Oh, come on. Well, at least they let me get the loot. I'll say that Locket of yesterday's is going to be worse than Semblance Anvil, in my opinion. So we do have a lot of mana in second phase. We just draw a third Fatestitcher, unfortunately. We can hardcast the Quantum Riddler next turn, though. We can hardcast a Fatestitcher this turn if we want. Probably will. What about Ilorith over Clever Conjurer? It's probably better, yeah. Although, I don't know. Maybe it's not, because this one can untap lands, right? Am I missing something about the combo? Like, if they remove FOMO? Okay, so if they killed FOMO instead, what we would have been able to do... hold on. Let me take this turn and then I'll tell you. Okay, so the plan would have been to loot away Fatestitcher, unearth Fatestitcher, untap the Gran-Gran. I guess we wouldn't have been able to get the other Fatestitcher in the yard to do the Cauldrons then. Because you could have Cauldron the Fatestitcher, but we wouldn't have had enough untapped creatures. And maybe it wouldn't have been possible. All right, your turn. They can't cast Emrakul, right? This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, they do have 13. So I guess I should have targeted the Heath or the Ice Tome. Although I don't know how bad we're doing against Emrakul. Probably not great, obviously. Should have counted. Yeah, this is an idea we've fleshed out really hard like 2 years ago. Okay, just a World Breaker. That does get rid of my Cauldron, which just isn't great. I'll go after their Windswept Heath, I guess. Just want their Ice Tills to not get value, and I want their Emrakul to not be castable if they top deck one. Okay, I don't have another basic. They'll probably go Squirter my arena here. Yeah, you could go to the Mux field and find the grinding station. We call it Anviltron. Now, are they just dead on board to my Fatestitcher? 7 plus 5 is 12, and they're at 13, so I guess not quite, but they're dead to this Fatestitcher. This would also be a little bit more damage, but this is just lethal. I guess Dismember would let them go to 1, so I guess Prof's playing around that's okay. Okay, so Force stops a lot of their like sideboard hate cards, and if they're on, I guess they're not going to be playing Karn like the Tron builds are. Maybe I don't want to be playing Force against them. Maybe it's just a couple Charmaws. Let's try this. Urza Saga made your build strong, I think. Possibly. I just mostly think that Locket isn't as reliable, but it is obviously nice you can get this off Urza Saga. That would be the big upside. But just requiring you to like have like you have to have 3 Mirror Retrievers in the graveyard, right? Because you put 1 into your hand when you like if you go Mirror Retriever for 0, you sack 1. I guess you only need 3, but like you need to find 3, and finding 3 is just very tough, even with Grinding Station. And where Semblance Anvil is just like you can still win the game turn 3, and you don't need to have like mill 2 other Mirror Retrievers. I don't know. And then also, okay, and then also what's nice about, let me I guess tell you a little bit more on this one since we've got some time, because I do really love this deck. What's really fun about this one, obviously, like you get to play Tron lands and Karn. So if your opponent's playing like Stony Silence or Clarion Conqueror, although I guess Clarion Conqueror turns off Karn, but if they play like Stony Silence, you all of a sudden just have outs to this because you can just Karn for your big stuff. You get to be a K command deck, which is awesome, and Mystic Forge is an awesome card with Semblance Anvil, and it turns your grinding stations into more than just something that is a combo card. Grinding station turns into something that manipulates the top of your library for Mystic Forge. So if you have a brick on top, you can sack, mill yourself, and keep going until you assemble Mirror Retriever double semblance or double Mirror Retriever Semblance Anvil. So that usually ends up being really good too. So I would call these builds like pretty close to solved. It's possible you don't play K command in this deck because it can be like a little awkward with Semblance Anvil Mystic Forge when you're going off. Since it like doesn't get discounted for 0, but I think it's fine to play. Hey Spike, big fan. I'm such an amazing deck builder. Clearly drives sort of success for you. In terms of gameplay, do you rate yourself above the average Modern League player? I guess I'm honestly devastated to hear. Big fan. Do you think you're better than the average league player? I think I'm better than the average league player, yeah, but I'd even say a good bit, probably. But devastated to even see the question. Okay, on the draw for game 2. Go, Grandma, go. Got another K command. All right, they rumble over Ghost Quarter, Forest, Ice Till, Cake Man. Just bantering, of course. So we're gonna go Arena attack, Arena Cauldron attack, and then I guess play also Profs this next turn. Is it better to play FOMO? Well, we're definitely gonna do this. So one upside of waiting on the FOMO is that, of course, I could just go Arena Haste it and the Shark next turn. Although one big downside is that my opponent, they did put Ice Till Explorer into their hand, and they could Ghost Quarter the Arena. Like the FOMO also grows the Shark, which is something. I think I'm just gonna go. I think I'll discard the Thundering Falls instead of the Winternight Stories, although it's kind of close, honestly. And let's pass. Thoughts on Illness of the Rinks as a sideboard card versus Boros and Affinity. I have tried some Illness of the Rinks, and I haven't really liked it that much. It's not. It's fine. It just hasn't really seemed to be like a great piece of interaction. Well, I'm gonna cast the Shark, so I know I'll use a Mountain this next turn. Finding a Fatestitcher is easy peasy lemon squeezy win. All right, cast Marauding Mako, cast Winternight Stories. Maybe I should fetch for another Steam Vents first. I'll discard 2 cards, I think, so that the Shark grows a little bit bigger. Let's discard a Gran-Gran and a Walking Ballista. I guess I'll discard Gran-Gran Arena of Glory instead. So that way, if I have the option to discard just the Ballista off the next Winternight Stories. Oh, sorry. I guess never mind. I need to Cauldron the Ballista now. So maybe a little bit, maybe kind of a bad sequencing. Although I could just play it for 0 here. But I need to do this now so that my Shark can continue to grow. And I can use the FOMO mana here to cast the other Winternight from hand. And then I can also go use the Steam Vents to tap the Shark to flashback a Winternight. So yeah, let's go 2 cards again. Let's do, well, I guess one slightly awkward thing is the I might run out of juice on the flashback, and we also have the flashback. I don't know. I think it's fine. A lot of like pretty marginal decisions. Still haven't found a Fatestitcher. Although I guess we would need now 2 Fatestitchers since we tapped the Cauldron for the Ballista. Oh, there's 2 Fatestitchers. Well, easy mode, I guess. So we win. Don't think it's very possible for them to have surgical extraction. How have we never really... Have we Fatestitchered Cauldron before? It's so good. Alright, so we'll go... I guess untap Fatestitcher. Always yield. Always yes. Always yield. Always yes. Always yield. And then we already have the Ballista under the Cauldron, so this won't take as long since every time we do this loop, the Gran-Gran the Mako grows by 1. Can I go over how tech works for Joyers? Yeah, this new tech, right? So you Cauldron Fatestitcher, and then there's a few. Either you have another creature or you just unearth a Fatestitcher like we did here, and then this lets you loot through your entire deck. As you loot through your entire deck, this will allow you to uh, mill over card draw spells. Winternight Stories specifically can let you go up on cards if that's important. But how you can also untap your Cauldron to Cauldron Vivi as part of the loop to make mana to keep churning through your deck if you're too low on resources. But if you're not too low on resources, if you don't need mana, you just go like red source, Marauding Mako, and then your Mako gets infinitely big, or you can play Profts. Profts makes your stuff infinitely big, and then eventually you'll be able to untap the Cauldron and then Cauldron Ballista to win the game. Oh my gosh, sorry, they're dead, and I have another untap here. I did misclick though. Let me actually just ping them. They might not realize they're just dead on board. It's also like game 3, so it's game 3, so they may they have no reason to like concede for time. So go save targets. Always you. No reason. Well, I mean, if it was game 1, then they might be interested in winning on clock, although they're down 4 minutes. Yeah, they might have just left. You don't know. Obviously, you need the Ballista, the deck I think to be able to win after you've already attacked in this game. I think the Ballista is important. We've played other cards in that spot. I think the one Ballista is also the best because you only need one. It's kind of wild how many players have made you click them umpteen times. Well, whenever it's a new combo, people usually don't scoop to it. For whatever reason that is, that's just a trend we've noticed. Prowess again? We're 2-1 against Prowess today? Although this is probably Storm. Being on the draw against Storm is tough. To be fair, I normally let someone do a thing for to see it. Yeah, that's definitely my experience is that... I don't really care, but... Yeah, usually people make me click through new combos if it's new. Yeah, Ballista's been really good. It's been a lot better than the Gristlebrand Bobo. And the Riddle and making room for a Riddler has been nice. Like Riddler's always been a card that I would have liked to play, but the list is so tight, like it just doesn't make sense. So the first Riddler is also like the first copy is really good. All right, just an artist talent, so we might get to turn 3 here. Obviously, we need to cobble a win together. Let me go ahead and draw cards first in case I find Profts. Okay, there's a Cauldron for my Vivi. Shouldn't be able to win the game this turn. This doesn't win, right? So I think it would win if I could get both Fatestitchers in the yard, because I can go Fatestitcher, untap land, Cauldron, and then I could win if I had another Fatestitcher in the yard here somehow. This would be a win. There's not a way for me to do that though, right? I can go untap a land, cast the Cauldron, but then I can't Cauldron Fatestitcher or land. I don't see any way for me to be able to do that. So I guess we have to hope that we win the die roll next time, or they can't kill me with just their artist talent. Gran-Gran Stitcher, Cauldron, Creature, Loot deck. Oh yeah, that's the combo. Not the line we could take this turn, on turn 2. So Cauldron Vivi, cast Looting, discard both Face Stitchers instead. Or actually, no. Because we win next turn. So let's let the Cauldron maybe be interaction instead. It might somehow stop a Pass in Flames. It's not very likely, but like we're just kind of 2 ships passing in the night, let's maybe like throw a bottle at their ship. Or unless that maybe okay, I could have also gone okay, so cast the Looting, 1 blue floating, discard 2 Fate Stitchers, Fate Stitcher in play, untap Cauldron here, but then my creatures are tapped still. All right, they got 2 cards in their hand. They don't discard a card there. 2 cards. Reckless Impulse. They do like their other card. They reveal a Ral, and then they still have 1 other card. It's probably another Reckless Impulse. I thought I saw a line. Yeah, I mean, what was it? I mean, there might be something I'm missing. We're still pretty early into the learning here. So they play Ral. They've got 1 mana floating. I don't think they have enough to ult the Ral, nor do they have enough to kill the Ral. Like, they can't kill the Ral here. Oh, the last card's a Ritual. So this does nothing. Except let them level up the Artist Talent. Okay, we win. Still Cauldron this. I wonder how it might be like theoretically possible to brick, but like it might be one of these like mathematically impossible things though. Not sure. Let me go discard 2 Stitchers, show you all the combo again. Crack a fetch though. Just make sure I can cast a shark. So we Cauldron a Fatestitcher. Yeah, they've got no cards in their hand, nor would we really expect Dismember ever. So we go untap the Cauldron. Always yes. Always yield. Always yes. Oh, there's the shark. Nice. Makes it a lot faster. So let me just show them that we're gonna Ballista them here. Yeah. And so this loop makes the shark infinitely big, then we Cauldron the Ballista. Or not infinitely big, like it's like a 40 power creature, and then we win. So up a game against Storm. What's the difference between theory and math? So for us to brick in this situation, we would somehow, I think, have to have like all 4 copies of Profs and all 4 copies of Marauding Mako. No, Profs wouldn't even work because we still get the counter, so it actually can't brick. But we'd like imagine like Profs was surgical. If all 4 Marauding Makos were like towards the bottom of the deck, I guess we could brick. And so, but the math of that happening is like so statistically improbable that it's maybe not even worth mentioning. I think we'll go down to 1 Props, 1 Winternight, 1 Street Wraith, 1 Riddler for the forces. This deck is sick. Ironically, hitting Ballista would have indeed won turn 2. Wait, how would we have won if we had drawn a Ballista the last game on turn 2? Are we gonna pitch? Grandma, it's time for you to go into a Force of Negation vacation, maybe. We'll see. We'll keep this hand for sure. All right, there's another blue card. I really like that this deck draws a lot of cards and plays really proactively. I think it's a good form and plays a lot of blue cards. It's a really good candidate to play a bunch of forces in the sideboard as the interaction. Gotta force that. I think I'm gonna discard Thundering Falls and the Scalding Tarn. Just gotta keep the Force of Negation in hand, I think. Bit weird not to loot away the Fatestitcher. If I draw a Cauldron off the FOMO draw, I'll really try not to Force of Negation because then we can combo kill next turn. I think. We won't have another counter on a creature, so maybe it doesn't work. I don't want to use the brain power. Oh no. Okay, so we go attack with Gran-Gran, discard Fatestitcher. Gran-Gran is tapped. Cauldron, Fatestitcher onto FOMO, untap Cauldron. Cauldron onto Gran-Gran, and then we have the Gran-Gran still tapped. So we would have needed to have already discarded this for that to work. They Reckless Impulse into a Ritual and another Impulse, so not a lot to worry about there. Oh, although the FOMO, can it attack and untap? Oh, I'm not sure. I draw another Fatestitcher. Does that change anything? I think it does. So I go attack with Gran-Gran. Okay, we're always gonna attack with just Gran-Gran, I think. So we draw a Fatestitcher, discard Fatestitcher. Discard Fatestitcher, untap Gran-Gran. Yeah, I don't think it works. Because we won't be able to get both in the yard here. So we go Cauldron, Fatestitcher. Untap the Cauldron. Gran-Gran onto the Cauldron, but then both of our creatures are tapped. So I can also go untap the Gran-Gran, but I can't do anything with it, so that's okay. We'll just try to win next turn, and then we have Force of Negation and Graveyard Hate up, so I'll just force the Pyretic Ritual if that's what they lead on. Yeah, I guess if I drew a land off the Gran-Gran, that would have won, right? They play a Valakut Stormforge tapped. And then they pass the turn. They go to their second main phase with these two still available. What can they have? I don't think we really lose to anything, because even if they have instant speed interaction, we still have the Force of Negation up. Yeah, even if they had Wear Tear, I guess they could Wear Tear in response to us tapping the Cauldron again, because we need to tap the Cauldron again. Okay, glad they conceded. 2-0. I feel like I don't know if like we're getting luckier or if we're getting better playing the deck. Maybe it's a little bit of a combination of both. But this is definitely the kind of deck I need a few reps with to like figure out range of keepable hands or more than a few reps and like sequencing and stuff. I still understand the combo. Okay, Cauldron, Fatestitcher, and then have two creatures. This lets you tap Gran-Gran, untap your Cauldron, untap your Gran-Gran, untap the creature, Fatestitcher, untap the Gran-Gran. You do this infinite times. Whenever Gran-Gran becomes tapped, you get to draw one, discard a card. I don't know, let me respond to our nice opponent. I got them into modern, let's go. I think that this is a keep on the draw. It's kind of slow though. Maybe this is a mulligan. Let's try it. So you do this infinite times. Then the way you can do a few different things from this point. You can untap your Cauldron and Cauldron Vivi so that you can make some mana if you need some mana. If you don't need some mana, you can cast Marauding Mako or Profts, and then eventually you'll be able to untap your Cauldron and Cauldron Ballista, and then Profts or Marauding Mako will give you enough counters to kill them with Ballista Cauldron. So hopefully that clarifies things. I know it's not the easiest combo here. A lot of games have been very close. I think the deck is getting there. I think so too. So are the draw against Brood Scale? Lantern is good against me. I thought I wanted to play the Cauldron. Okay, well now I still need to play this Cauldron, but the Lantern is tough. Maybe it is still Profts this turn. Because it's like, yeah, I guess it is Profts, because I would go Cauldron into Winternight, discard Vivi, try to win. But that's not going to happen because they have the Lantern. So next turn we're going to Winternight Story. If we're going to Winternight Stories next turn to discard Vivi anyways. Oh, damn it. I guess we'll cycle next turn for the props. But if next turn we're going to cast Winternight Stories anyways, I think it's better to have Profts in play, and then the Cauldron can force the Lantern sack, and then we can try to find another Vivi. Okay. Although they wouldn't have cracked the Lantern if I had played the Cauldron for whatever that's worth. All right, they name Eldrazi on another cavern, 5 cards in hand. Plays a Springleaf Drum. And then I've had some reps with Gran-Gran. How many Gran-Grans do you think could fit in allies? Taps to Guide Divide, discards cards to reanimate. We could try it over the 1-drop. Okay, well this is awesome that they did this. Yeah, we could try it over our... So this is worse if I draw FOMO to discard Vivi. It's kind of better every other time. I think I'll just loot it away. I also just want to draw looting or FOMO. So I could try to win this turn. Yeah, Gran-Gran and allies could be something to try. Okay, I drew another shark anyways. Do I want to haste is the question. I think yes. Since this will win next turn pretty comfortably, even if my opponent breaks up the Vivi Cauldron stuff. We mostly just died at them brood scaling me, which at the moment seems unlikely. Discarding the extra card for more damage with the sharks. Deck for 8. Yeah, Gran-Gran tapping to Divide Guide's pretty cool. I don't know if you want to play 4. You could split. You could do like a 2/2 split with the other one drop. It also what needing blue mana turn 1's kind of awkward because right now the blue splash is really light, but not the biggest deal. Like not a deal breaker. Did we break it? I hope so. Thank you for the 20 stream streak. I think that's the longest one we've seen so far. So opponent's super duper dead, which is good news. You had 30? Oh, okay, I'll keep an eye out for anybody got higher than 30? Looking to beat 30, looking to beat 30. We might actually just like naturally I guess this is also what you naturally do is you just find Ballista and win. Aren't you running all 5 typo? No, you can't do the typo lands and allies because you're really built around Return to the Ranks and the other Return to the Ranks. And Malevolent Rumble. You need to those cards are really important. You're not the deck isn't just I'm gonna cast a bunch of allies. The deck is really built around like casting these big sorceries. All right, packs it in. Going to game 2. Brusco's kind of a tough one to sideboard against. Like the Charmaw seem okay, the Meltdown seem okay, but they won't always stop the combo. I think I don't want the Quantum Riddler. I think we can go down a Proft, a Winternight, and a Wraith to make room for some cards. Maybe like 2 Meltdown, 2 Charmaw. I kind of like the look of this. Wait, that's not enough. Oh, I meant to. It looks like this didn't get dragged out. Near running the sorceries, but thought you still had a number of type of lands. I think we had some caverns at some point, and we ended up cutting them for Horizon Canopies, which I've been liking, although that's also awkward with Gran-Gran. I think I misread your yeah, I definitely could have played 20 or 12. I'm on 30 also. Okay, 30 is the new record. I'm gonna go be right back. Okay, on the draw game 2 against Brood-Scale, I think we need to mulligan to either a faster hand or at least a hand with some lands, although I think this is going to have to be a 5. All right, probably better than the other hands we've seen. I'm going to put back the Ballista. And either Profts or Winternight, probably the Winternight. Thanks again, Bloppert, for the 4. Sickest color blue wall for Pain FC. Nice, thanks. Took a long time to get back in this room. I was streaming from downstairs for like half the year. This Winternight seems aspirational. Well, my thought is that Gran-Gran can potentially loot it away and can potentially make the shark really big to flash back the Winternight. So I'm not exactly necessarily planning on casting it from hand. And then also the Winternight discards the Vivi. There's a Blade. If they had Brood-Scale, they would have played Brood-Scale this turn. Although, rest in peace, Gran-Gran. Although this looting is an amazing draw. Not the easiest multi-5. Wow, never mind. Never mind. Easiest multi-5. Have I considered one of Pact of Negation to dig for during my turns going off? No, it doesn't really make any sense, right? Like think about it for a second. Like when can you go for when can you dig for this Pact of Negation? Once your opponent has not disrupted you, once you have your engine online, once you're doing the thing, once you're churning through your deck, once you're drawing all the cards. When is your opponent going to disrupt you? Before that, they're going to try to stop you from doing that. They're not going to try to stop you at the end, you know? No, don't have anything, please. They can't have heats, but I mean, they just have K command, I guess. Exile Vivi, exile Sharko. Right, might have to go to game 3. Might be good to exile this because of Emrakul, and they might like needle my Cauldron. I'm gonna Haywire Might it, I guess. They have 4 cards in their hand after this. They get ready to rumble. They find a Grove of Force, an Eldrazi Temple, or an Unholy Heat. Thankfully, don't see a Brood Scale. You're 1 FOMO away from being back in the game. Yeah, FOMO would be good. We also might just cast Vivi. It is interesting that they don't have any green mana this turn. This turns off Delirium for Unholy Heat also. Oh, sorry, they have the Saga. So let me think for a second. If I go cast Vivi and I Cauldron a creature, I only have 1 mana, so I can't also Profs. So I think I'm just gonna go cast Vivi. Also the Haywire Might's gonna kill this. So I think I'd rather just. Oh no! They're about to get another Urza Saga. Right. So I guess we wait then. I've settled on waiting. So that this way, if they sack the Haywire Might here, I can Cauldron the Haywire Might instead, which is like not really all that different, I guess. But wait, they have another K command they're casting now. Doesn't it make way more sense to wait on it and exile the Vivi unless they just have another one? Are they trying to cast Emrakul? So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12. So yeah, they're not going to have. I guess they actually have enough if they get Springleaf Drum and I don't Cauldron the K command. They did keep a card on top. Yeah, I guess we'll play around Springleaf Drum Emrakul. It maybe means I have 1 less counter on the Vivi, but it's. I don't really think it makes a lot of sense for them to scry draw with the K command unless they're either trying to set up for Emrakul or they're trying to Brood Scale. They did get the Springleaf Drum, but they just have the Brood Scale combo now. They do still need to have a payoff here. I think Haywire Might sack is +1 mana for Emrakul. That's true. Good point. All right, they find a Flesh Raker to win with. We're going to game 3. Is this a standard deck? Well, I'm told that this card's banned in standard. This is banned in standard. I will also say Wraith, Faithless Looting, Arena. I don't think that the rest of the deck would be very playable without this package of cards. I like 1 of Fire Magic. It's just like 3 mana to kill their stuff. It's so inefficient, but I don't know, maybe. Let's look at this 4-lander on the play. I would keep this if this was a Steam Vents. I think I have to go to 5. I want some heats in the board for. I don't think I would play heats for the Jeskai matchup. And then this hand would be nice if this island mounted was also a Steam Vents. Or or even an island. Fire Magic has always been worse than Pyroclasm. I think this is not true. We could debate it. Seems like in the Gran-Gran deck, being able to deal 1 to anything is pretty relevant, right? And then also instant speed matters a lot. Let's see. Killing Ragavan turn 1 is nice sometimes. Do I go to 4? Yes, I think so. Looting is kind of awkward on the Mold of 4, even though I do have something good to discard with it. I think I'd rather keep the Winternight. Tough to Mold of 4 against a 7. Just a bunch of non-functional hands. Be a bit more excited about that if it weren't for the Lantern. Obviously, we need to draw land number 3. Mold of 5, Mold of 4 games 2-3 is pretty tough. We do draw land number 3. Divination inbound. We do have a K command. We continue. This is the 4-drop, probably. Yeah, Chrysalis. I always forget the name of this card. All right, 4 cards in their hand. Don't love drawing the Scalding Tarn, of course. So we can make a big shark. Hopefully they don't have a second K command. Oh, it's tough to beat 2 of that card on the Mold of 4. I mean, I don't think land 5 is going to do very much very often. I might even just cast Fatestitcher this game. We'll see. 6/6 against a possible 5/6 here, so that's not too bad. This doesn't bode well. This doesn't bode well at all. House for 31 months. Thank you. Welcome back. So this could be a 10 power here. Let's see. They kept 2 cards on top. They put 3 on the bottom. Maybe Urza Saga was one of the cards they kept here. Chrysalis Cauldron? That's something. Fleshraker. Yeah, with the Soul Guide Lantern too, I'm running low on belief here. Not out of belief, but low. Do I cast Vivi, then flashback Winternight Stories? I've got an idea. Let me so my idea is that if I can find Cauldron, I can Fatestitcher target the lantern. Okay, I can Fatestitcher target the lantern, and I can try to set myself up for a spot where I discard Vivi. I'm so tense right now. Okay, so now we go Unearth Fatestitcher. How does this deck when I see Fatestitcher Gran-Gran draw loot a bunch? Well, you do your entire deck, and then you either use you can get mana with Vivi if you need it, but you don't if you don't need it, and then if you do need it, you win with Mako Cauldron Ballista or Proft's Cauldron Ballista. Okay, so target the Soul Guide Lantern. This is like the coolest play we've made this month for sure, maybe this year. I don't know. We still need some help here because they're still gonna get to exile my graveyard. But we have 2 more draws with the Wraith and the Wraith and the Fiery Islet. So I'm gonna go ahead and make red. Cast the Shark, cycle the Wraith. We also still have the Proft's trigger available. This was a mold of 4, by the way. All right, and then now we feel the mold of 4. 3 draws, Mako cycles. I guess was that better? Because I'm also kind of thinking I just want to play some the blockers out maybe, but yeah, maybe we should have cycled the Mako. Put them on the Vivi, so if they have Besage you, we still have a lot of mana. We're dead to K command number 3, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe cycling was the move. So they rumble. They do find a Besage. They also find a Thief of Existence, and a Brood Scale. So we're dead if they've been sandbagging a Blade of the Blood Chief. We do have a big Vivi, so we still have a lot of mana if my opponent... And we also have another Cauldron, so I don't really care so much if they kill my Cauldron. Probably should have cycled. Yeah, I guess I'm thinking cycling was better. Yeah. Fatestitcher has been so sweet though. They did choose Beseiju. Then they're making Eldrazi mana though, which is devastating. Making me work for it. Is this Emrakul? All right, you know this is a tough. We've bowled to 4. They're casting Emrakul turn 5. I'm not dead yet though. So they get to kill most of my creatures. They can also kill me this turn, but I think it's unlikely they figured that out. Hell, not dead. I got draws. I get a turn after the Emrakul, and I have infinite combos in my deck. I still have Cauldron, Vivi, right? Do they see the line? Okay. Oh. So the line was to loot away the Fatestitcher, and then just they could have just Cauldron the Fatestitcher and killed me with it. Just deck me. Notably, they could have also Beseiju the Cauldron and cast the Emrakul last turn, but they didn't. Yeah, if we draw Looting or Winternight Stories or like Wraith into one of these, we're just like kind of we're pretty likely to be able to win. Wait, they Cauldron the Vivi again? Okay, they don't know. That gives me a big jump in mana. They don't know. And I have to put a counter here. Do they know to exert the Arena of Glory? Oh, they Legend Rule the Cauldron. Sorry. I miss it. I don't know why I forgot they could just Legend Rule the Cauldron. That's probably enough. I got really excited for a second. So, still possible to win. We need to now draw a Vivi off of our Looting that we top deck or Winternight Stories that we top deck. They are making my Mako Sharko bigger, though. All right, so Looting or Winternight off the top into Vivi. Just a sweet Gran-Gran. Tough one. Is Gran-Gran one of the best names on the card? I'm liking it. Opponents in the tank on the play here. They decide to keep 7. Boros. I would kind of love to play the Boros matchup. I used to feel like it was pretty solid for Vivi Cauldron. Although it looks like Domain Zoo. Not a great matchup to be on the draw on, I guess. Attacks into Doorkeeper Thrall. Not a Scion as well, though. All right, so let's go ahead and play Profts this turn. I think it's okay to get Mountain because we have Looting to cast next turn. If we draw a Street Wraith, we get this out of Flage range, which is something. Flage/Bolt range. But also the Looting will let us get in with a sweet Gran-Gran. And maybe combo off. Nope. Critical case of lost the die roll. Cast a Faithless Looting. Okay, so we can go discard Fatestitcher, discard Vivi, Fatestitcher, untap land, Cauldron, and continue. Yeah, let's see if this can win. We had this kind of draw earlier, just like my board is just a Profts. Can we untap and win? And then we were missing. I think we're missing a Cauldron. And then what I think I should do is I think I should cast the Quantum Riddler. And then we get to go Profts, counters on the Quantum Riddler, and then we have like 8 mana to keep working with. 7. So let's go 3 red, 4 blue. Shouldn't matter too much on the split as long as we have something around this. So it shouldn't matter too much because we've got the shark coming too. Okay, so there's Fatestitcher. Fatestitcher lets me untap the Cauldron if I want to do that. Let's go ahead and discard just 2 cards to make the shark bigger. Then let's go FOMO float a blue, so that way we can get the shark to 4 power. I guess we'd rather tap the Quantum Riddler actually. Okay, so we go Winternight Stories. How is this not just a win? At this point, it will probably be a win. When I started to talk about this turn, it wasn't as clear, was it? So we can Fatestitcher the Cauldron to reactivate all of our creatures' Vivi ability if we want. Let's go ahead and I guess looting before FOMO. Could also Vivi. Game is pretty over at this point. Is Riddler almost always better than FOMO? Certainly not in this deck, no. I think that's wild. Okay, how many cards do I have? 9, 12, 13. Yeah, I guess we need to go for the extra Vivi play. Okay. It's like FOMO is way better on every single turn too. FOMO is a discard outlet for Fatestitcher, Winternight Stories, Vivi. FOMO plus Profs, you get to double up on the Profs trigger, and sometimes FOMO plus Profs is a win on turn 3. Like FOMO is just almost certainly the better card. But Riddler's good too. Yeah, let's go to game 2. That was sick. That was sick. I'm very hyped about this deck. Like we went 1 mana creature that died. We played Profs on turn 2, and they were dead on turn 3. And it's like that. I think that's really exciting. That from a board on turn that's just turn 2 Profs, you can untap and win the game because of Fatestitcher. I think it's so cool. Yeah, so Profs at the beginning of combat on your turn, if you've drawn more than 1 card this turn, put X counters on target creature, where X is the number of cards you've drawn this turn minus 1. So this is all with FOMO. You get to double up on this trigger, which is very fun too. New Breach deck of Modern. Yeah, it's like Breach where you have to use your brain. I guess you use your brain in Breach too. I'm just impressed that Gran-Gran's good outside of a Lessons deck. So far, this is the best Gran-Gran deck. Is this deck your own, like idea at all? Yeah. That's all I do on this channel. If I'm ever taking ideas from someone else, I'm really explicit about it. Like today, we had been working on a different build of this deck months ago, and we had in Griselbrand Bobo, I think was better than Ballista then. And then someone was like, "What about Ballista?" And then we ended up switching that for Riddler Ballista, which has been better. But yeah, the Gran-Gran Fatestitcher I've been working on this week, and this is the stream debut. But that is all I do on stream is come up with my own brew ideas. Unless stated otherwise, which is pretty rare. How necessary are the Wraiths? They're incredibly important. Like Wraith is just so good in your Prof deck. It's just so good. And Marauding Mako. It's like it's a mandatory 4 of, although you could shave some post board if you want. I think he goes for the 37. Yeah, I think Kethis is pretty good too. Gran-Gran in this deck is what I thought Rhoda would be interesting. I do think that the mono blue Cauldron deck also has some life that I need to be working on. I can't find my phone, but I need to make a note of that. Here it is. Yeah. Sometimes a viewer idea will inspire a deck too. So whenever something like that happens, I try to be vocal about it because I think it's nice to give those shout outs. All right, I think we put back the Riddler because I want to discard the looting. Oh, this is able to 5, right? I guess we have to put back the second shark. Doesn't feel great. They keep a 7-card Leyline hand. Okay, so I feel like the chatter is a point. Wraith's purpose is to be a free card draw. A free card draw, but Riddler also draws a card, cycles effectively. When you're on a VV plan, you often have mana to do that. Sometimes because Riddler and difficulty 2 and 2. Well, right now we have a 5-1 split if we're trying to talk about that. But Riddler is 0 mana Profs trigger, 0 mana Shark trigger. I don't like Like what you get to do, it's comparing it to Riddler is very weird to me. Where Riddler is like a 2 or 5 mana card advantage spell. And that's like look at this spot. If I draw a Street Wraith, I can flashback the Winternight Stories this turn. It's like it's I think it's so incomparable, and Street Wraith does such a thing that's really really unique. So I don't really see the comparison, I suppose, but it's interesting that y'all do, I guess. Like the best draw here might have been Wraith, so this gets out of Flage range. Although I guess they can't Flage this turn. I guess I'm saying being a 0 mana trigger in this deck is at least slightly less important than usual. Okay, okay. I guess that's that. Thank you for clarifying that. I think I at the moment I think that Street Wraith is like I can't even like imagine not playing 4 of, but sometimes I do kind of struggle with not realizing that something like this, yeah, you could play less than 4 of. Riddler has been really good. Riddler has been really good so far. The more Riddlers you add, though, the worse they are. Your hand's going to get all clunked up. Okay, opponent's just on a leyline draw, and we might just ignore all this. If we find a Fatestitcher, we win at any point in this. What's best to do first? It's kind of a weird sequencing, so I guess I want to go flashback Winternight first. I think I don't know if I want to discard 2 cards. Oh, I guess another Shark is pretty good. The FOMO is also kind of good too. So I guess I could discard land, but then I can't cast the Shark. I do think casting the Shark is worth a lot of mana here. Alternatively, I can go discard just Shark, and then I can go play Steam Vents, make 4 mana, flashback looting, cast Profts, and then no, I'm gonna need the Shark for the extra mana. Actually, I'm gonna need it. You got Vivi mana. I know I got Vivi mana. I got that far in this thought process. There's more going on. I'm stuck on, but I was I did get at least that far. Yeah, this is another mold to 5. Although red, blue. So we get to put the counters here. We can do some. Okay, we might be fizzled. It's gonna be. I don't know exactly how we win with just 1. The reason I like Riddler in this deck is because it easily empty your hands, so the draw advantage of Riddler plus Wraith, and the mana with Cauldron seems pretty good. Yeah, I mean maybe Riddlers are better than some number of the Winternight Stories. But Winternight Stories, I mean, it's just so insane too. So I don't know. I'm glad that the first Riddler found its way into the deck. I'm certainly open to more. Okay. So my Cauldron is tapped. My Cauldron is tapped, but I can go play a new Cauldron and Cauldron Fatestitcher, and then okay. So I can go Cauldron Fatestitcher off of a new Cauldron. And then I go Gran-Gran on top, Marco Sharko on top, on top, on top, on top, on top. Yeah, this wins. Okay. Turn 3, mold to 5. So again, just on the last untap, we'll Cauldron the Ballista. Yeah, being post combat doesn't matter because we just win with Cauldron Ballista. That's a big part of the reason why the Ballista's in the deck, is so you can win after you get your Prof's trigger. So they are at 27. I have 11, 21, 27. Okay, that's enough. Three Marco Sharkos means you don't have to do this loop too many times. GG. That was a super sick game. Let's go to get a 4-1 prediction going. Let's keep this on the draw. Could be a Gran-Gran Fatestitcher combo. New matchup here. Another lost die roll. We're gonna go with third C over third eagle. Yeah, I just wouldn't play the third eagle. It's still like fine as a 2 of, you know. Yeah, I think that this deck definitely feels like a breakthrough. I think it's pretty exciting. So probably on the draw against Boros here. Need a little help. Good to play against Boros. Don't love being on the draw against it. Important matchup to be testing though. Hand's not amazing. That's definitely a helpful draw. If we could draw like a looting, I guess mainly looting. Can go off with the ballista some. All right, 4 cards in their hand. It's impossible to win turn 2. I think it is, yeah. There may be a weird thing with like Gran-Gran and like Fatestitchers, but I think it is impossible. Okay, I like that one. Let's go just cast a 1-1 Ballista that we can make a 2-2 Ballista here. My opponent definitely has more removal in their hand. And I would rather them use it on this. I'm pretty sure like there's no way to turn 2. All right, don't mind this so much, although they probably do still have a Galvanic Discharge. Obviously, I like that I can Cauldron the Flage for free here. How good is this deck sideboards? I don't play Constructed enough to imagine there's a lot of Graveyard Hate. Graveyard Hate right now, for the most part, is like a lot of single shot stuff. There's not a lot of like Rest in Peace of Leylines. There's a lot of Surgical, Soul Guide Lanterns, Endurances. So you don't really care about those cards as much. If there were more Leylines and Rest in Pieces, it would be tough. We have spent a good amount of time tuning the other build of this deck before the Gran-Gran tech, so I guess we can play the other one. We have spent a good amount of time tuning. They definitely have another discharge. So I'm like relatively happy with where our sideboard is at, but it's not perfect. Things have changed them too. Okay, good. So we can have a 3/3 shark. After the Profs and the Cauldron tap. I think I'll do this to play around Thraben Charm. 2 cards in their hand only. Maybe another Flage, maybe more discharges. Yeah, another Flage. So we're gonna get hit down to 7 after this. They have 1 card. Lost the die roll, but our draw lined up good against theirs so far. Although our draw isn't that powerful. Might get to hardcast a Fatestitcher here. Not have to, get to. I only have one surveillance, so I think I'll hold this to loot away. Turn 1 Gran-Gran, turn 2 Cauldron, discard Vivi, put a counter, make 2 mana, play Mako, and looting discard. Yeah, you could win on turn 2 with that. That's true. I think I was too focused on the Fatestitcher loop. All right, they graveyarded Ragavan after some thought. Then they pay costs, and they play a Guide of Souls with 3 energy in the pool. Okay. I guess less energy would have been fine for them too because of the whole voice situation. So we can also like untap the Cauldron with Fatestitcher and get two counters on the Fatestitcher with that. Another one just by spending 4 mana, so that would be 4 counters. Obviously that's pretty anemic, but you know, something when we got nothing. I think their last card is nothing as well. All right, so we got nothing. Although I guess I can only have 4 counters and I can't kill the Voice of Victory with that. But I can tap the Voice of Victory and kill the Guide of Souls. All right, they're looking for a Flage. No way to play around that anyways. Cool to be contending against Boros with such a bad draw, although, again, their draw did line up bad against mine too. All right, another Profts. This is another counter. Oh, we get the cycle. I can't fetch to get another counter. That do Flage number 3. Fun game. Come on, Faithless Looting, Winternight Stories, FOMO. All right, not really much difference between being a 1 and 0 here. Do I have lethal? So I have an extra counter from the Profts, a counter from the Cauldron. Sorry, a counter from the Cauldron and a counter from the activation. So I can put 3 counters here. I can put 3 counters and I can attack for 7 and I can ping them 6 times to put them to 1. Really? 1, 2, 3, attack for 7, ping them 6 times, put them to 1. Okay, dodge Flage for 1 more turn, I guess. Maybe they'll fetch. Well, they won't fetch if I attack. We have 4 more counters. That's 7. I'm counting. How are you getting to 4 more? This is 1, 2. We're off by 2. No, we're off by 1. Yeah, that's true. Bombardment was already. Oh, the bombardment was not lethal before this. I mean, obviously we're supposed to cycle the Wraith. I guess we could kill the Voice. That's true. Okay, now we have to. This game is so fun because we're still somehow not dead. Okay, so counter. I have 3 creatures in my yard. Yeah, Gran-Gran also good at Modern Amy. Oh, raid from Amy. Welcome everybody. This deck has been so sweet. There's infinite Grandma combos in Modern with Fatestitcher. We've done a few times. You Cauldron onto your Fatestitcher on the Gran-Gran, then you just untap Gran-Gran, tap Gran-Gran, untap, mill your deck, and then you untap Cauldron, Cauldron Ballista onto either a giant Marco Sharko that you make infinite with the loop or Profts. Okay, we have a lot of cards that win us the game. This is the most anemic game of Modern I've played this year, maybe, or at least the most anemic and competitive. Okay, so a lot of draws that win. We draw a Vivi, which does not win. We're now dead to any creature, really? Ah. Well, maybe I could win. Okay, so I can go haste Vivi. Haste Vivi, cast a Cauldron, get a counter on the Vivi, deal them 1. Then I can go Cauldron onto Vivi, cast another Cauldron, deal them another 1. Then I can attack with both. And that would be an attack for 5. And then I could ping them 4 times. So that's 5 plus 4 plus 2. I count 11. No, we keep the old Cauldron. We don't take the new Cauldron. Don't forget to put on counter creature ballista. I know that one. That one's not going to be enough though. Because if we go counter on Fatestitcher, Cauldron, Fatestitcher attack for 4, or attack for 5, then yeah, it's not enough either. How am I pinging them after Legendary Cauldron? I just keep this Cauldron. So I'll go to do this play, I guess. Why play a Cauldron if I'm keeping old? For counters on my Vivi. We're dead to any creature off the top. And then also, we get a counter also from the Vivi, which is worth a ballista damage. Maybe I miscounted. I don't know. Alright, so this is an attack. I did miscount. This is an attack for 6. This is lethal! I did miscount. Oh, great. Good day to be bad at math. This is the sweetest lethal we found this year, probably. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, I guess what I miscounted was the... I don't think I counted the counter from Cauldron targeting the Vivi for some reason. Let's go. Good time to get the Amy raid, huh? Alright, so I'm going to bring in the fire magics. Yeah, I think I like to keep in the Riddler in case they have some combo stuff. I think honestly, I used to like cut like the Gristlebrand or the Temporal Trespass, but the Ballista just probably should stay in no matter what. It's kind of interesting. Would you say you're better than the average league player? Much worse, I think. Much worse, it seems. That was crazy lethal. And we had to like kill the Voice of Victory. We had to tap it down like 3 times with Fatestitcher. That was so sick. That was so cool. We have played Frog before. FOMO is like kind of clearly better than Frog at this version because you just need the churn. It's kind of hard to articulate why, but I had Frog over FOMO, and I do feel like this build wants FOMO instead. But it is a conversation we have done both. I did like Frog more in the older build. I think we could afford to get basic Mountain here. These fire magics might y'all might be right about the pyroclasms. Is this the modern version of the banned standard deck? Yeah, it is. Faithless Looting, Street Wraith, Fatestitcher, Arena of Glory are all like really big upgrades, and of course, a lot of that stuff is banned now, right? All right, 0.1 for Pyroclasm, I guess, although a bit awkward with the shark. Oh, you know what? I did mean to get my island and play Profts, but I think I'm just gonna double fire magic and like 3 for 2 myself. Build your own Pyroclasm. Force of Pyroclasm. Maybe they would have attacked first, and then we could have maybe blocked with the shark. I think that's probably not worth risking the damage. Kind of punished for getting the mounted over steam vents. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's still play the Vivi. Like if they flage it, then we get to Cauldron it later. But usually don't want to play Vivi into flage, but because we can't go Profs plus Gran-Gran, I think this is okay. And Gran-Gran would also die to flage. I think I'd have eaten the 1 damage to avoid the risk of another cat. Yeah, that might be fine, yeah. Okay, don't mind Static Prison very much. Although it's worse if I draw Cauldron, I guess. They've got 2 cards left in their hand. Let's start off with Faithless Looting. Discard 1, 2, and then time to give Grandma her protein. This Grandma is all natural. So she's just been pumping iron. So they Galvanic Discharge my Grandma. But this costs 5 of their 6 energy, so they might have to give me back my Vivi. Holding up Fire Magic seems kind of appealing. Winternight Stories seems really appealing with the Profs in play. Let's go and cast the Winternight Stories. I think it's pretty close. This is better against top deck of Johnny, of course. I guess I'll discard a Fatestitcher. Might just be like fireballing them with Fatestitcher here. Nope, big Grandma. What's the power toughness of this Grandma, chat? Oh, Legend of Roku. Okay. What did they hit? They hit a Wrath of Skies and a Wear Tear, so they might kill my Profs right now. We win if we top deck Cauldron. Let me start off by flashing back Winternight Stories, I think. Maybe we should cast Looting first. Yeah, I might actually just kill. I also have Profs. Looting might. If I draw FOMO, I can win. If I draw FOMO or Cauldron off this, I win. Nice. That was on my list. I do have 2 Face Stitchers. Yeah, okay, so we get to go discard. Cauldron, the Fate Stitcher. Unearth the other Fate Stitcher. Untap the Cauldron. I guess maybe we don't win if my deck is like really uncooperative, but it should be okay. No, I don't think it's mathematically possible. Yeah, because we'll make enough mana eventually to win with the Profs. All right, so let's go. Always yield. Always yes. Always yield. Always yes, always yield. Okay, and then they back it in. Nice. That was an awesome league. That was a really, really cool league. Yeah, with the 5 months. Thank you. Welcome back.